Warning! This video will contain spoilers for the 2025 James Gunn Superman movie. It may also include discussions or images of violence, sexual situations, and drug use. Viewing beyond this point is a choice you have made, and you take responsibility for that choice. Thank you, and please have a great day.
Hello and welcome to this video. I hope you're having a nice day, I hope you're having fun, and I hope the universe is treating you fairly. Today's video is going to be over the 2025 James Gunn Superman movie. I figure it's been long enough that the cult of Zack Snyder and the cult of James Gunn, their feuding, picking over each other's bones and stuff has kind of subsided. I figured I could go ahead and do this video now. I really enjoyed it. The was a good movie. Was it a perfect movie? No. No movie, TV show, any of that is ever going to be perfect. It does have some things that I didn't care for, and it had a lot more things that I did care for. I'm going to start out with some of the negatives because I like ending videos and stuff like this on a more positive note. Things I didn't care for. Some of the ways that the flying scenes with Corn Sweat as Superman, they were good, but they just seemed to me, and you feel free to disagree, they just felt kind of, I don't know, there's just something off about them, something that I just can't exactly put my finger on. Do they look good? Yes. But there's just something to them that just, my goatee's kind of weird. There's something just weird about them. Just, my brain doesn't like. Another thing I didn't care for was the overall portrayal of the Justice Gang. Justice Gang are from the comics. They're post Crisis on Infinite Earths. Maxwell Lord was trying to engineer a pro-capitalist Super Friends type group. It blew up in his face because it turned out he was not the most honest man on the planet. But it is what it is. I don't like the way, I think it's more the uniforms they had. I don't, as a comic book fan, as somebody that is not a super Green Lantern fan. I'm not like, I prefer the more traditional Green Lantern, green outfits. Guy Gardner, who Nathan Fillion plays, has kind of a biker tough guy thing looking on his stuff in the comics, where this is just kind of blah. I think what James Gunn was going for was the overall conformity, the what, what corporate institutions do to things. They just make them sterile and bland and really not something that oh yeah, before I get too far in that, you may hear a vacuuming sound in the background. That is, my wife picked up a Roomba, a programmable one. You can program it to do certain things at certain times, and it's doing its thing. So I need to grab my keyboard real quick. Need to look something up. Yeah, the uniforms that they with the Justice Gang, the JG, on the chest, and I've seen some of the Snyder cult go, no, that's not Justice Gang, that's just James Gunn's narcissism, blah blah blah, whatever. And at the same time, the cult of James Gunn just being as crazy defending things as the cult of Zack Snyder. I don't know. It just, the whole the uniforms just in general it kind of fell flat for me. Though I'd liked Mr. Terrific's jacket. I have to be honest about that, with the fair play on the arms and the Terrific on the back. I like that jacket. Don't get me wrong. I love that jacket. That is a comic accurate jacket. And the actor who played Mr. Terrific did a wonderful job. It's, well, all the actors. Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner. David Cornsweet as Superman. Rachel Brosnahan, as Miss Lois Lane. Wonderful job. Nicholas Hoult made you believe he was Lex Luthor. I've mentioned Nathan Fillion. I like Nathan Fillion as an actor. There's something about Nathan Fillion that whatever role he's doing, he somehow, you look at him and go, yes, that is Guy Gardner. And that was just what I like about his just Nathan Fillion. Can't wait to see him show up in the Lanterns live action series. Isabella Marced. Hot girl. Wonderful hot girl. Especially the bit at the end when she throws the leader of Bravia to the ground. Basically telling him, I'm not Superman, It's gonna end badly for you. The movie starts out, it does. It starts out, and this is one of the things I really love about it. James Gunn gave his audience enough intellectual credit. He gave the benefit of doubt to the audience to let them know, that is the Houdini in the background, that we don't have to rehash the origin story. It was done in the first Christopher Reeves movie back in the 1970s. And, you know, it's up to you. I mean, most people, even if you're not a comic book reader, have an idea of Superman's origin. We didn't have to go through that. And if he does a Batman movie, I really hope he doesn't feel the need to go through Batman's origin again. Hopefully we can bypass that. Maybe discuss it in dialogue. We don't have to have flashbacks. I mean, he can do it like he did with Superman. It starts out with him getting his ass kicked, which is nice that we don't portray Superman as invulnerable, because that gets boring real quick. He has to step up to his to his opponent. Superman should have to step up. And the Hammer of Baravia makes him do that. The Hammer of Baravia is actually Ultraman, who's actually a clone of Superman. And in the comics, Ultraman is actually from a parallel universe in which the Germans won the Second World War. But Gunn took some liberties and made him a clone of Superman, which kind of falls into one of the previous Christopher Reeve Superman movies. I want to say 4, because I think 3 is the 90-minute Richard Pryor stand-up. But I think it's 4 where they clone him, they have the evil Superman, and blah, blah, blah. This kind of pays homage to that. We also get homages to other things in the DC universe. I guess not really homages, more of setting things up. We have the introduction of Johann Boravia and Johannesburg. The 2 fictitious comic book countries, kind of like Corto Maltese, which we got in Gunn's The Suicide Squad. James Gunn just, and this is my opinion, I could be wrong, that James Gunn is inspired a lot by the 80s comics. Because we got Corto Maltese and Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. That's where it comes to prominence. It's also mentioned in the 1989 the 1989 Batman movie. And it was mentioned in the previous comics. these fictional countries, Moravia and Johanpur. They've been mentioned, but it's when you get them, when you get a comic that blows up like Miller's Dark Knight Returns, or it gets featured in movies like this one. He's Superman. Basically, Superman stops an invasion without the sanction of the U.S. government. He takes it upon himself. Stirs a bunch of stuff up. Lex Luthor is using it as an excuse to get rid of Superman. He is the Lex Luthor I've seen a lot of places where Holtz Luthor has been compared to like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or what's his face that does Facebook? I can't think of his name. However, I personally think that he's an amalgamation of all of the above with a bunch of Donald Trump mixed in. He's just kind of an amalgamation of perceived bad guys of the current day and age. And it is kind of through a jaded lens. Gunn is a very, very unapologetic liberal, just like Zack Snyder is a unapologetic libertarian, and a lot of that bleeds into how they write their stories, how they write their things, and to make the story appealing and relatable to the audience, you kind of have to do that. You kind of have to mix bad parts from people. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Jeff Bezos is a good guy or a bad guy. I'm not going to sit here and say that Elon Musk is a good guy or a bad guy. I'm not going to say here that Donald Trump is anything but Donald Trump. But you have to mix in things that the people can go, oh, just like blah 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 in the real world. That is how you get people. Everything, like I said, everything went sideways. Hammer Baravia shows up, smashes Superman. In fact, throughout this movie, Superman gets his ass handed to him time and time again. We go through, there's a good arc. The Lois Lane story arc is beautiful. Wonderfully done. So is the Jimmy Olsen and the Perry White. They don't have as big arcs because they're supporting characters, but they do have arcs. Gunn took the time to give these supporting characters arcs, which is kind of cool. Superman gets captured. He gets freed. We get introduced to Metamorpho, who is from the comics, and this is a pretty comic accurate, or 80s. When I say comic accurate, just keep in mind it's the 1980s comics that I'm thinking about. The way the characters are portrayed, Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, Hot Girl, all well done. The actors they got for them, the actors, are great. In fact, the combination, the Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner, and Hot Girl, all they kind of deserve in my opinion, their own show, to be honest with you. Penguin got his. Let's have hashtag Justice Gang show, you know. So, well, being a Superman story, we know that everything ends happily. Not ever after it has a happy ending. There is some really notable homages to the first Christopher Reeve movie. The character of Eve Taskmaster originally was created by Schumacher for his movie. Otis was a Joel Schumacher creation for the movie, and Gunn brings him back. The movie is worth watching. Like I said, there are, and I don't know if the critiques that I have, or all the things that I didn't really care for aren't deal breakers. The things that I liked outweigh it. It may be different for you. Now that it's on streaming, check it out. It is worth. It's worth the 2.5 hours to sit down and watch. It's written intelligently, but not at such a level that kids can't enjoy it. It is kid friendly, unlike James Gunn's Peacemaker show, live action Peacemaker show, which is not kid friendly. In fact, the first episode of the second season, there's an orgy with about 30 people, and we get to see every bit, part, everything. So yes, but it's written for kids. This movie is written, kids can understand it, kids can get into it, but it's intelligent enough that parents can go, oh, okay, this is a good, this is a good path to follow. This is a good way to go down the road. It does have a very huge parallels to what's going on in the Middle East. It has parallels going on between Russia and Ukraine. It has there's enough parallels that it's relatable. Adults can understand it. Adults can rationalize it in their brain. They can go, oh, okay. Though Gunn claims that he had the script written before the events that kicked off the whole thing between Israel and Hamas, having the script written and revising it, two different animals. Some of the stuff is a little too on the not just the hammer on the head, but it doesn't detract from the movie. It's just one of those things where they did it originally in the comics, and that they moved Superman's Fortress of Solitude from North Pole, hanging out with Santa, to the South Pole. I guess Santa evicted him. Maybe not, I don't know. Maybe Santa's looking at relocating the South Pole too. We don't know. The whole global warming thing going on. it just uh, Crypto, the dog Crypto. Love Crypto. I love what went into bringing Crypto to the screen. Crypto is a combination of mocap, of James Gunn dog Uzo, and the actual dog that they used for the skin to what you see, and a human for some of the more nuanced things like grabbing the cape and stuff like that. But it's, like I said, it's a combination of motion capture or mocap, the real dog that they used for the model, and a human and the mocap outfit. In fact, the scene at the beginning after Superman has hit the snow and Crypto, he whistles and Crypto shows up. Crypto's bouncing all over him. That is actually mocap of James Gunn's dog, Uzo. And like I said, I don't know how true it is. I haven't verified it simply because if it's not true, I don't want to be disappointed. But I read a thing on Reddit saying that the actual jumping and bouncing and stuff was James Gunn laying on the ground. He called his dog over. The dog had the mocap stuff on it, and it ran over and was doing all that jumping on Gunn himself. Like I said, don't know how true it is. I haven't verified it, just because it's one of those things that it might not be true. It's probably a pretty good chance it's not true, but I like believing what I like believing, and this particular belief doesn't hurt anybody or anything. Yeah, it's just wonderful work. It is a wonderful blending of CGI, practical effects, a lot of stuff done in camera. The lenses that they use some wild lenses. I wished I would have wrote them down, the types of lenses. They use multi-focus lenses. It was just awesome. I've done a lot of the deep diving into the technical making of this movie and Disney's Fantastic Four. When I do that video, there's some really awesome stuff in there. Excuse me, that they did in that. That's just over the top great. This movie's the same thing. I could probably make a 2-hour video just on some of the lenses that they used. There's one lens I wish they made it for my digital camera. Well, they probably do. I just can't afford it. But you can do about 3 things at once in that lens. You know, you can adjust shading, lighting. You can adjust the angle in which the light is shown on the picture. It's just your focal length. You can change your focal length. It's just all in the lens, and it's stuff like that. It's just amazing, just the technology to be able to do stuff in a single shot, or 4 or 5 times to get, or 30 times, or however many times it takes. But to get the perfect shot, it's just chef's kiss. Yeah, it's just it's just great what they can do now in camera, where 25, 30 years ago they would have had to film it, block it, develop it, and overlay this, mask that. They can do all that in lens now. They can do that in the camera. It's awesome. I just wonder if Kubrick was still alive, what he'd be doing with this tech. He'd probably be doing some awesome stuff. Oh man, this is just a good movie. This is a good family-friendly movie. Go see it, or stream it. Hell, I don't think it's in theaters anymore. They might do a Christmas release. I doubt it, but because it made some dinero on a budget of $225 million. It brought in a box office of $616 million, and roughly for a movie to break even, rule of thumb is you double the budget, because that takes into account for promotional stuff, sending your actors and actresses out, hit the late night circuit and all that. It covers all that. So you just double $225 million. Double is $450 million. So it made just a little under or just a little over $2 million in profit. Not bad. And I think if Gunn wouldn't have rushed it to streaming, it probably would have made a little bit more box office. But from what I understand, things I've read, articles I've read, different places on the internet, and a couple articles that were shared to Reddit forums, that it on streaming, it went to streaming on Amazon Prime first and made a boatload of money there. Then the DVDs hit, DVDs, Blu-rays, what have you, they all hit and blew up there. And when I say blow up, I mean in a good way. They made a bunch of money, and now it's a streaming on HBO Max. It's HBO Max, HBO Max, whatever they're calling it this week. It's a great movie. Like I said, I can't say enough. Check it out. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. It was a nice break from the schlock we were getting with Snyder. If you noticed, I haven't done any of the Snyder movies on this channel. I might go back, because there are something in the Snyder movies that I do like, believe it or not. But you compare this Superman to Snyder's Superman, this is a far, far better Superman movie. It's more Superman-ish. If you read a lot of the comics, first act, Superman gets his ass handed to him. Second act, he recovers. Third act, he comes back and kicks ass, which is your standard superhero storyboard. Superhero loses, superhero readjusts, superhero kicks ass. That's pretty much it. And if you try to push the limits of that too much in the wrong way, you get Superman killing people. So yeah, like I said, go check this out. It's a fun movie. I enjoyed it immensely. And yeah, check it out. Have fun. So, until next time, everybody, be a good human. Be good to other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?